Welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcel Swally. In a somber mood, I should say. Are we ushering in basketball season as I look a mess up here?
Something like it.
Lakers and Clippers up here. Let's get to our top story, which are not the Lakers and Clippers. It's Matthew Stafford, who is now a Super Bowl champion, and that career mark was followed by a lot of talk about his Hall of Fame chances. Richard Sherman poured some water on that debate. Water? Tweeting in part, quote, "The Hall of Fame bar is incredibly low now." Damn. And Stafford was never considered the best quarterback in any year he played. Wow. Former Super Bowl MVP Julian Edelman thinks otherwise, saying, quote, 50,000 passing yards, Super Bowl first year with a capable team. Give this man his flowers. He's a Hall of Famer. Arm talent is some of the best we've seen. So, Acho, are Richard Sherman's Hall of Fame comments out of line?
Not at all. Richard Sherman has rarely been more accurate about something in his life than he is about Matthew Stafford. And I get why Richard Sherman is saying what Richard Sherman is. Because Matthew Stafford don't belong in this congregation of Hall of Famers.
Oh, really?
First, let's start with Matthew Stafford's most near and dear relatives, those Hall of Famers on the Rams squad. Because when I look at Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, all those cats should be Hall of Famers. Well, Von Miller, 7 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pros, 8 Pro Bowls.
Jeez.
Aaron Donald, 7 All-Pros, 8 Pro Bowls. Jalen Ramsey, 3 All-Pros, 5 Pro Bowls. So I'm like, when I look at you, Matthew Stafford, with your Rams fans and your Rams teammates, you're not near them. Okay, now let me look at you, Matthew Stafford, with the quarterbacks of this generation that we know are going into the Hall of Fame. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Tom Brady, 6 All-Pros, 15 Pro Bowls. Drew Brees, 5 All-Pros, 13 Pro Bowls. Y'all can see the list. Matthew Stafford, you don't fit in with your Rams teammates going into the Hall, and Matthew Stafford, you don't fit in with the quarterbacks going into the Hall. Well, let's just look at NFL players currently playing that are going into the Hall. Whether it's Antonio Brown, 5 All-Pros and 7 Pro Bowls. Whether it's DeAndre Hopkins, 5 All-Pros and 5 Pro Bowls. Whether it's Julio Jones, 5 All-Pros and 7 Pro Bowls. Whether it's Bobby Wagner, 8 All-Pros and 8 Pro Bowls. Or Richard Sherman, the author, the speaker, 5 All-Pros and 4 Pro Bowls. But then you look at Stafford. No All-Pros.
Leave that man alone.
1 Pro Bowl. If I'm Richard Sherman, I'm like, get him out the club. No white tees in the club. I don't want this riffraff in my section if I am Richard Sherman.
That is not a tee.
I get it. So we've all been in this situation, and y'all stop acting different than Richard Sherman because y'all are no different than him. Valentine's Day, I'll personalize it, and then I'll let y'all personalize it.
You didn't have a Valentine's, or did you?
I didn't. I went with my best friend, my dog Cheaty. Shout out to my dog. You met him at the movie.
Yeah, Cheaty, the homie.
I went with my dog, and I went to a BOA Steakhouse. Maybe it's BOA, BOA. I'm not that fancy.
Bank of America Steakhouse?
Something like it.
What'd you do?
I went to BOA Steakhouse.
Transfer
and
funds?
When you make, bro, your RSVP, it says there is a dress code allowed.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, a dress code allowed? Well, let me make sure I look at the dress code to make sure they don't kick me out, right? So I click on the joint, and it's like dress code, no sandals, no tank tops, no overly and excessively revealing clothing. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Because while there are people that are going to be inside this fine establishment, dressed to the nines, dressed to a T, they do not want riffraff inside their establishment, bringing down the dining experience, bringing down the value of the establishment, because people are going to be in there dressed the part, looking the part, based on their attire, have earned the right to enter into the building. They do not want anybody in that steakhouse on this Valentine's Day that's going to bring down the value of the steakhouse, the value of the meal, or the quality of the experience. Matthew Stafford trying to get into the Hall of Fame with sandals on.
Stafford, that's a lie.
Stafford trying to get into the Hall of Fame in a tank top. He's trying to get into the Hall with a backwards hat on. Okay? Richard Sherman in there in a suit.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady in there in a tux. Aaron Rodgers going to be in that thing in a 3-piece.
Oh,
and then here going to come Stafford in that hasn't shaved, with some flippy floppies and some short shorts, talking about, what's up, dudes? And Sherman is like, no, I don't want this riff-raff in my Hall of Fame, because all the guys I'm going in here with have earned the right, and this man, statistically speaking, has not.
Acho went there. Woo! Now I know where you are. Now I know you're right next to Richard Sherman, and both of you guys are out of line. Let's say this, and let's start here. Everything Richard Sherman said was valid.
Yes, sir.
He read him his resume. And if someone reads you your resume and you feel a certain type of way and it's not good, then you got a problem with yourself. So I'm not mad at Richard Sherman for reading his resume. I'm actually mad at Richard Sherman for the spirit in which he read said resume.
Okay, talk to me.
Now let's talk about that. This is a violation. This is a felony. You know why? Because I played in the game and I walked around in a locker room where they say, hey, dog, no matter what we going through, don't put your hands in my pockets. You know what that meant? That meant basically don't talk about my money, right? Well, let me add something to that conversation. It's one thing to talk about my money, but my play will dictate my money. So you can talk about my money all you want. If I'm balling, I'm getting paid. But don't you dare talk about my legacy, because guess what? That's what others think of me, and that will be in stone. Wait a minute. Someone who's already a bona fide Hall of Famer. Richard Sherman is a walking, living legend. We know that. He's in the Hall of Fame, kicking back with sandals on or a three-piece suit. He getting in no matter what he shows up in for the dress code. But the thing about it is, why are you trying to keep the door closed? Is that the fraternity? Is that the soul of the fraternity?
I like it.
You know what I'm talking about.
Go there, so I like it.
We used to say, keep the door open, because we want to incentivize and make everybody know, if you ball, this is for you. If you are a beast, this is for you. If you got the numbers, this is for you. Why is Richard Sherman being a gatekeeper?
I like it.
Why is Richard Sherman sitting there saying, nah, not you? When, what is your criteria? If the criteria is, he just got one Super Bowl and no Pro Bowls. Wait a minute, Richard Sherman. Let me remind you that Mark Zuckerberg broke this down a long time ago when he was staring at Wall Street executives in three-piece suits every day, burning both ends of the candle and midnight oil, looking the part. He was like, you ain't got to do all that to get something done.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford, if you look at his numbers, yeah, he is already in the Hall of Fame. But then if you look at his appearance, as you said, just one Super Bowl and no Pro Bowls, he like,
one Pro Bowl, yes, sir.
One Pro Bowl?
Yes,
He's like, I'm Zuckerberg. I got it done. Look at these numbers. He's going to end up with projections right now. This is insane. You trying to tell, this dude is projected, if he plays 5 more years with the Rams, let's just say, 74,000 yards, 528 touchdowns, just using his same averages 5 more years. You know who those quarterbacks look like? Check these sandals out. Brady, Breeze, Manning, and Favre. Only ones with 70,000 yards and 500 plus TDs. So, bruh, stop being a gatekeeper. Stop being, I hate to say it, a hater.
I got something for you. Y'all gonna get ready for this conversation. So I gotta call you out. I gotta personalize this.
Because of what I wear?
No, sir.
Oh.
I know you haven't been to the club in a while. But I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take y'all back.
Not to BOA, though.
No, not to BOA. Not Bank of America Steakhouse. I'm going to take y'all back.
All right.
So remember when you used to go to the club with your boys when you're in the league, right? Before your Sunday game, you might go out on Thursday night or you might go out on Sunday night. I'm going to let y'all in on a secret. We're not just always watching film.
Hello.
Okay. When you're in the club, it's like this. You got the cats that are in the club, they're standing and they're dancing, they pouring drinks. You got some of the cats that are trying to recruit different people to the club, you know what I'm saying?
Recruit?
You got some cats that aren't actually sitting on the seat of the chair, but sitting on the chair back because you got a better view of everybody and everything in the club. Then you have this one individual, and this individual might be the most valuable individual in the entirety of the section. This one individual. The person that's the gatekeeper of who's getting behind the velvet ropes into your section.
I knew it.
Because whoever pays for the section isn't the gatekeeper. They usually the most lit, right? They got the most drinks. They turned up. They got too much other stuff going on. They distracted by the honeys in the section. They distracted by their boys in the section. But it's usually this person, and it's often been me because I'm the sober individual there. I'm sitting on a seat back, and I'm looking like, oh, no. Nah, security. That person can't come in this section. Why? Not because I'm a hater, not because I'm jealous, not because I'm envious, because I do not want to devalue what we currently have in this section by allowing somebody either who I don't know, who ain't dressed the part, who don't look the part, to come into the section. Because if they come into the section, you've now undermined what we got going in the section. Because Stell showed up to the club, what's up, big dog? He was fresh. My other homeboy showed up to the club, what's up, yo, they was fresh. Stell's homegirls hit him up, hey, we coming through, we bringing a couple of our friends. Stell texts him back, hey, how they look? You know us. Okay, bet. They come through, they look good, they was fresh. So now we sitting here and we're looking like, who is trying to come into this section? And I got to be the one, like Richard Sherman, to be like, hey, nah, man, they can't come in here. Not because I'm a hater. I don't want them to devalue what we got going on in this section. I'll give it to you one more way. I'll give it to y'all one more way.
Another club?
Not another club. Now a more humble example we can all relate to. So I'm sure you get asked all the time, as do I, hey, Marcellus, would love to have you come on this podcast.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, would love to have you come on this podcast.
I will one day, y'all.
If I do not ask this question, they present me this information before I ever have to ask. Here are the guests that have come on before.
Yes, they do. They do.
Every single time they say, Emmanuel, would love to have you on this podcast. McConaughey's been on. Reese Witherspoon has been on. Jennifer Aniston has been on. Michelle Obama has been on. And they're doing that because they want to let you know the caliber of person that you are going to be participating with. And based upon who has been on before, at least I will not speak for Marcellus, but at least this individual right now, currently speaking, will make a decision of whether I want to be on that podcast based upon who has been on before. Because I want to know, what company am I keeping? Richard Sherman is simply trying to make sure that the company of the Hall of Fame is elite, that the company of the Hall of Fame is exquisite, that the company of the Hall of Fame is top tier. Because just like podcasts, just like clubs, just like restaurants, just like all of us individuals, we all are gatekeepers of something. And Richard Sherman wants to make sure the Hall of Fame maintains its being as the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Good, not the Hall of Inflation, not the Hall of Overrated, but the Hall of Fame.
Whew. I am not mad at you. I'm just different than you.
Uh-oh.
Let's stay in the club.
Okay.
And we actually talked about this 2 weeks ago, but I'll remind you and I'll remind everyone else again. I was the one that had to put the credit card down. Damn right, black card, here you go. And then I was also the one that said, all comers. Everybody is welcome in my section. You know why? Because that's just who I am. Now, the reason I had that rooting interest is because I used to be the guy on the outside of the ropes, as Richard Sherman, as a wide receiver in college, who converted to being a defensive back, who at first people didn't really see as being a future Hall of Famer. Should understand. My brother from Compton, he knows this. We've been on the outside looking in, right? And now he's on the inside looking out, and he decides to poison the well instead of keeping the doors wide open. That's a different spirit. So when I'm at the club, Cass used to come up to me all the time. Wally, what's up? Can I get a drink? Sure. Because you know why? I know how this night's going to end. First of all, I'm winning. Second of all, we ain't going to drink all this. So I used to hate Cass. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Richard. Hey, Acho, I see y'all over there. I hated those drink counters. I used to call them drink counters. Dog, why you over there chin checking everybody? Hey, they ain't in our section. Who that? Oh, they had a drink. They had 2 drinks. I was like, dog, you know how this ends, right? At the end of the night, we always stuck with these bottles and these models. Let me stop. So here's the thing. Don't be a drink counter, Acho, because why do you care? If he has the numbers to get them in, why are you tripping and not letting them in? Let me just give you this comparison. Since we're talking numbers first, you gave me so many examples. Good Lord, I'm going to go everywhere. Matthew Stafford right now, 86, 95, and 1, right? 50,000 yards. Different eras. But Dan Fouts, 43,000 yards. Warren Moon, 49,000 yards. Different eras, right? So we're not going to go there. Winning record, Warren Moon, 1 game over 500. Stafford, probably by next year, if not the year after, definitely going to be well above 500. But right now, under 500. Here's where it gets funny. Here's where it gets really funny. In terms of all-pros, how many times was Warren Moon an all-pro? Same as Stafford. In terms of Super Bowl appearances, how many times did Dan Fouts and Warren Moon go to the Super Bowl? Not a single time. Matthew Stafford 1 time and won 1. You start to look at who's in your section. You know when the lights come on, people look different, right? Matthew Stafford gets in the section. You're like, how he get in here? Turn the lights on. Look at some of these other guys in there, and I'm not taking shots at any of these guys because they're all legends. But that's the point. Let's not take shots at Matthew Stafford when he qualifies to be in same section. My last point is this.
To me, Phil.
You and Richard Sherman are trying to melt a snowball. Y'all telling on yourselves. Why are we holding an A-block conversation on Matthew Stafford? You want to know why? Because we know he got something. If he didn't have something, if he wasn't right there on the in the balance, on the line, in terms of Hall of Famer or not, we would never leave this show with this. But that's my point. The dude has qualifications that's making this a conversation. And now you're going to try and squash it with some haterade? Not fair, bro.
I don't want to squash it. I want to elaborate on it, but I'll give it to you like this.
Let's go.
I'm going to give you all this one. I love when Stale talks. He makes me think, stimulates the mind, tries to give you all a better show.
Let's do it.
Marcellus Wiley, based upon your NFL contracts, in 1900, you would have been the 19th richest person in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Why?
Born too late.
Why? Because of inflation.
Yeah.
Because 50, 60, 40, 70 million dollars right now would put you at 19th richest in the world. However, we have to understand inflation occurs.
Yeah.
So $40 million, really $51 million right now, does not put you in the top 20 richest people in the world.
Hell no.
But $51 million back then would put you in the top 50 million people in the world. Why the heck does that matter? Because we looking at Matthew Stafford and all these passing yards, but it wasn't a passing league back then, y'all.
Facts.
So while Matthew Stafford will end up as the 5th highest passer in NFL history, or maybe the 2nd highest passer in NFL history, we have to understand NFL history, like American history, like American money throughout history, has changed and inflated. So we cannot compare my income or Marcellus Wiley's income to that of John D. Rockefeller in 1918, and we can't compare Matthew Stafford's passing yards to that of Bart Starr's passing yards in the mid-1900s, because things have inflated. Right. So if the greatest thing Matthew Stafford has done in the National Football League is achieve inflated stats because of a pass-happy league we all have, plus an additional game, can we call it real? And the second greatest thing is Matthew Stafford has the most come-from-behind victories in NFL history. To come back from behind, you got to be behind.
You got to be behind. You know I don't give that stat no love.
So if
No
the
love.
greatest things we are praising Matthew Stafford for, not Marcellus, but in totality,
I feel you.
the greatest thing we're praising Matthew Stafford for is the fact that he was behind. Thus, he had to come back from being behind, and he's passed for a lot of yards. But in the NFL right now, because of inflation, everybody has passed for a lot of yards, a pass-happy league. Then what are we really praising Matthew Stafford for? Cooper Kupp has just as many Super Bowls, just as many Pro Bowls, more All-Pros, and is a Super Bowl MVP. Matthew Stafford doesn't have the All-Pro Cooper Kupp has, doesn't have the MVP Cooper Kupp has, and got the same number of Pro Bowls and less all. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Hey, Acho, did you just get a haircut? You look real sharp and
My
crispy.
dog.
You do, huh? Yeah, it looks good, but I think he went a little too deep. Might have got to your brain a little bit, a little hippocampus or something. I don't know, because what are you talking about?
What happened?
We were taught not to close doors. And you guys are closing doors, and it's not because of likability. It's just because you're saying, I don't see enough. But then I would retort, you're not looking at the right things. Since you don't want to talk inflated numbers, and I get that. You can't always talk in these aggregate numbers, especially when things are different. Okay. Back in those days, all pros mattered, and was that an inflated stat? No. Well, I'm looking at other guys in the Hall of Fame, same amount of all pros as my man Matthew Stafford. I'm looking at other guys in the Hall of Fame. It's Super Bowl wins and appearances, inflated stat, because they cared about Super Bowls back then. No. Well, I see Matthew Stafford beating Hall of Famers in that same category. I can give it to you the way you want it.
I want names. I
gave you names.
I want names right now.
Warren Moon, Dan Fouts.
Stafford does not have more Pro Bowls than Warren Moon, sir.
I didn't say Pro Bowls, but Pro Bowls. no, you know, Pro Bowls is interesting.
Yeah, because Mac Jones is in a Pro. Mac Jones and Matthew Stafford got the same number.
It goes bad and it goes good.
I'm with you. I'm not mad.
In short, Pro Bowls is tough because you could be in an era with 3 quarterbacks that we already filled in those names. You know, Aaron Rodgers.
Doesn't that matter? Again, sorry, we going everywhere, but y'all just got to go everywhere with us. Doesn't that matter to you, Sel? Like, if you were never one of the best in any of the years you played. Like Matthew Stafford
That's not Pro
was
Bowl,
never
though.
all pro. Matthew Stafford was never one of the top 2 quarterbacks in none of his 13 years.
Neither was Warren Moon, and you're not going to sit here and shoot at Warren Moon, are you? He was insane.
But at least Warren Moon, I think, has 6-7 Pro Bowls to his name? 9 Pro Bowls to his name.
But that's my point. Pro Bowl is a popularity contest.
So you were never popular?
No.
Stafford was popular once?
In Detroit, you know how long it took for Eminem to get signed? Dog, it takes a while for you to get discovered in Detroit. Trust me. And he like the best rapper ever lyrically, and it took him forever to get discovered. Boy, you ain't been in Detroit, have you? Here we go. Quarterbacks with 50,000 yards and Super Bowl title. I know these are inflated stats, but look who all benefited from the inflation. Brady, Breeze, Manning, Favre, Roethlisberger, another Manning, Rodgers, and Elway. That's going back to 1983, bruh. And you trying to tell me that Matthew Stafford, since he's in that club, doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Here's why.
Yeah, you better keep cutting me off because I don't know.
Because
Talk to me.
I was with, who do you think the greatest quarterback to ever play the game is?
The greatest is Tom Brady. Best? Peyton Manning.
But some people might argue Joe Montana, right?
Yeah, of course.
I was with Joe Montana this past weekend. We were all with so many random people. With Joe Montana, we shared a good conversation.
Love this.
Many would argue he's one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Facts.
Joe Montana ain't sniffed 50,000 yards.
No, he didn't.
Sniff it.
He didn't.
Like, did not come near 50,000 yards.
Right.
He would have had to play based upon his numbers an additional 5 to 6 years to get to 50,000 yards.
Yeah.
So Matthew Stafford's doing something that literally you couldn't have done prior to, 1985, 1987, 1990?
Yeah.
Just based upon the nature of the game.
But don't you cut it up like that because of all the names I gave you.
Talk to me.
That was 83 draft all the way to present day.
Yes, sir.
So when you're in an era with Brady and Breeze and Roethlisberger and Favre and Rodgers and you do what they do, something going on, big dog, that's good to me. All right, you know what? I'm not even going to bore you with these numbers. That he's better than Hall of Famers in a lot of categories. But inflation, look, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, I don't want to even go there. This is where I want to go. This is my last point. You said initially, and this was an amazing example, about how he just doesn't look like he belongs in the club, and he may devalue it, all right? And that's a mindset of uniform behavior that you said at restaurants, Valentine's Day. It happens in the NFL in terms of our dress code, like we want you guys to look uniform. And you also see it in the military. Look a certain way, you're going to act a certain way. But I've noticed, especially of late, with the youngsters, it doesn't matter necessarily how it looks. Just know what to look for. And if you look at Matthew Stafford, and I hate to say it, man, I know that the bar has been lowered. And it wasn't lowered because of Matthew Stafford. He's just now going to benefit more so because it's already been lowered. You know who was his greatest supporter was? It wasn't his wife. It was Julian Edelman, who obviously has an incentive to say, yeah, let Matthew Stafford in there because of his postseason and his success. Because then Julian Edelman benefits from that same mindset and narrative. But if y'all really objectively, blind resume, looking at Matthew Stafford in Detroit, comes here 1 year, whatever kind of team this is, contending team, wins a Super Bowl with those numbers, you guys are going to exclude him seriously?
Yes, and I got more on it later. I got more on it, and I have the exact reason why later.
Whew. All right. After we go to BOA. Coming up, Joe Burrow has already been to a Super Bowl. Oh, that lobster up there is banging too. But has he already reached his peak? We'll answer that later. But first, James Harden appeared to throw shade at his former team yesterday. I'll tell you if we have an issue with his comments next. Don't speak for yourself. You crap.
James Harden days in Brooklyn are over. He was introduced as a Sixer yesterday and seems focused on moving forward in Philly while also appearing to throw shade at the Nets. Y'all take a listen.
For me, it made sense, man. It's a time where I needed to be, around guys that I know that want to win and know that they are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And the structure here is unbelievable.
Sal, you got an issue with James Harden's I want to be around guys that want to win comments?
Yeah, I do have an issue with it. Give it to you like my coach used to give it to us. He's like, if you don't go to the podium and keep it PC, and you decide on your own volition to go spicy, he said, when you grab those spices, I want names and numbers. Because other than that, when you go to the podium, you're not there to give your deepest thoughts on life. You're not there to give information that is actually sacred to our locker room.
Okay.
You're there to just keep it going, keep it flowing. But when James Harden decided to grab those spices in the cupboard, I need some names and numbers. Because when you say guys, first thing that jumps out to me is the S. Mm-hmm. Plural? In Brooklyn? Plural? Kevin Durant's there, so I get why you weren't talking about Kevin Durant. I hope you weren't talking about Kevin Durant. But were you talking about Kevin Durant? Because everyone's going to say he's talking about Kyrie. But he said guys. Mm-hmm. Who else? And if you're talking about bench warmers, they don't count. You're talking about guys who are underneath you, they don't count. Who are you talking about, as Coach would say? I need names and numbers. Now, the second part I have a problem with is, who's the messenger? James Harden. Bro, you got 4 strikes on your record. You're supposed to be locked up 25 to life. And another one. What kind of baseball is this that you get 4 strikes? Ask the city of Houston. Ask Russell Westbrook. Ask CP3, and now ask the Brooklyn Nets about James Harden in terms of who you want to play with. It's crazy that I'm looking at this situation because I really respect James Harden in terms of his game, what he brings to the table. But it just seems like when he faces adversity, he just abandons ship. He just dips. And then, worse than that, he blames the situation instead of just either taking accountability or just moving on and having a clean break. So, yeah, I got an issue with this want to win. Who are these guys? Names and numbers, bro.
I have no issue with it at all whatsoever. And again, I couldn't be more excited for a conversation. Sel, I think you can answer this question, and I hope all of y'all can answer this question for yourselves as well. What is your mission statement? Your personal life mission statement?
Oh, my God. I don't have one.
You have a primary objective. Do you have a primary, this is what I stand for? What is that?
Oh, man. No lie. I'm not going to say it poetically right now, but it's just for me to give my kids, my family, more than I was given.
Beautiful. Give your kids, your family more than you were given. Mission statement, primary objective, whatever the case may be. We all have a primary goal. And after our primary goal, we have a secondary goal. And after our secondary goal, we have a tertiary goal. So we all have that first, second, and third objective. It's not to say that your second goal in life isn't still a goal. It's just trumped by your primary goal.
Facts.
James Harden's primary goal right now is to win a championship. I do not think that is Kyrie Irving nor Kevin Durant's primary goal. I believe it is a goal. I don't believe it's their primary. I'll explain why. I believe Kevin Durant's primary goal is to be the best basketball player in the world. I believe Kyrie Irving's primary goal is to be a contrarian and make people think differently. Why? Because when James Harden had the opportunity to win a championship or ruffle feathers, his primary goal was a trump card. I'm going to ruffle all the feathers in Houston because I'm going to try to chase a championship. I'm going to ruffle feathers in Brooklyn because I'm going to chase a championship. James Harden's primary goal trumped everything else. Kyrie Irving, his goal is to win a championship, but when his goal came juxtaposed to being a contrarian trumped his primary goal. We could use a different word instead of contrarian, but nonetheless, being a contrarian trumped his other goal of winning a championship. Kevin Durant, if his primary goal was to win chips, you stay in Golden State. But Kevin Durant's primary goal is to be the best player in the world, unequivocally. I don't want to sit here and debate with Steph Curry. I don't even want to sit here and Draymond Green have to defer to you at any point in time bringing the ball up the court. So Kevin Durant's primary goal of being the best player in the world trumped his secondary goal. It's not to say that Kyrie Irving doesn't want to win. It's not to say that Kevin Durant doesn't want to win. It's just that James Harden's primary goal is winning. So when push comes to shove, James Harden's primary goal will trump everything else. And Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant's primary goals will trump everything else. I'll give it to you one more way.
I like that way, though. Ooh, that was a good way.
If I don't eat breakfast, Sal, every now and then I do intermittent fasting.
That's it? Only every now
and then? Really every day, just because I don't be eating. But when I do intermittent fasting and I skip breakfast, I'm hungry. And I genuinely am hungry. However, if I were to go to inner cities of different areas and come across a homeless individual, my hunger will pale in comparison to theirs. So sure, I'm hungry. But relative to that individual, that homeless individual who may not have eaten, they gonna look at me like, oh, you're not hungry. You just want to eat. Okay? Say we take this homeless individual and me and this homeless individual who hasn't eaten in a couple meals now, we fly to the villages of Nigeria where I venture to once a year and people really there are malnourished and haven't eaten. They gonna look, the Nigerian villager is gonna look at the homeless individual like, and look at me like, oh, neither of y'all are hungry. Y'all just want to eat. Now, if you were to ask me, of course I'm hungry. If you were to ask the inner city cat, of course he hungry. But to the person in the village who ain't eating, we not hungry. We just want to eat. In the same breath, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they not hungry for championships. They just want to eat. James Harden is looking around like, yo, I'm starved. So while, of course, Kevin Durant wants to win, and of course Kyrie Irving wants to win, relative to James Harden, he's like, nah, they not hungry like I am. They just want to eat.
You on fire today, boy. Wear purple every day. Up here looking like a grape. I love it. I am not disagreeing with anything you said because you supported it. But I will go here. James Harden's at a podium. And it's just like us up here doing this show. We're wearing suits, air-conditioned studio, lights are bright, and they ask us about playing situations. They ask us about our playing experience. They ask us about players. They ask us about sports topics, right? And we are not in the emotional content space as those same players, those same activities, right? But it's on us because of our experience to now translate to those who certainly weren't a part of that experience and were very distant from what we're going to talk about, right? That's what we do for a living. Now, here's James Harden at a podium being asked to reflect on where he just was. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this to you because I just heard this in the book that I am listening to this morning. Memories are not precise reflections of reality. They're autobiographies.
Okay, you write them yourself. Okay, talk to me.
What he's remembering is not exactly the precise reflection of the reality. Mm-hmm. It's just what James Harden was thinking about saying reality. Mm-hmm. Why do I bring that up? Because I don't know what he's talking about when he's saying that he is in a situation now that has tremendous structure, that everyone there wants to win, but where he just left, there were guys who didn't want to win. I'm pushing back. You can tell me all you want about Kevin Durant wants to be the best player in the world or he doesn't get along with so and so, but Kevin Durant has the receipts that verifies that I'm trying to get to the top of this mountain. Mm-hmm. Damn near had to do it by himself in the postseason because of injuries to you, James Harden, which we always talk about. There's a contributing factor, us individually, sometimes to our own injuries, mm-hmm. rest, lifestyle, etc. Right? So you got the hammy, but how'd you get the hammy? Kyrie Irving? So you're shooting at two champions. Just look how this sounds on the surface. Two champions, one a multi-time champion, and saying they don't want to win, but you do, and you ain't got no rings. You imagine you walk up to somebody with no money, and you talk about somebody with money, and you're going to tell them how to spend it. And they looking at you like, if you know so much, where's yours at? Yeah. That's what I'm saying about him. Your last point was interesting about relativity. Like, you're hungry because you fasted. Somebody else is hungry because they're homeless. Somebody else hungry because, like, dog, I'm in a third world country, and they ain't got no food around here. I went to Brazil one time, and yes, that's all I'm going to say, because, it was Brazil. But I actually took a tour, a TMZ tour of Brazil. I did it. Yeah, I ain't scared. And they took us to the favelas. Now, I'm from Compton. I'm from South Central. We used to be in a stretch line every practice. Dudes from New Orleans talking about, oh, no, the third ward, the hood. Okay, we got cats from Miami talking about, oh, no, that's the hood. Cats from Anacostia. This is the hood. Go to a favela and realize, shut up, America, about our hoods. I understand what you're saying, but James Harden has not been to that depth. He has not shown that level of despair. He's just been hopping around saying that, oh, if this doesn't work out, y'all don't want it. But everywhere he's been, there's been somebody there saying, not only do I want it, I got it. Where is yours, James Harden? Where are your receipts?
I love it. I think the optics are bad. The optics for James Harden are very bad. I'm going to give it to y'all in story form. Nate Boyer is his name. Nate Boyer. Many people know Nate Boyer because Nate Boyer was the Green Beret who told Colin Kaepernick, hey, rather than sitting, take a knee. Nate Boyer, look him up. Fantastic individual. What people don't know about Nate Boyer, he walked on to the Texas football team at 30 years of age. I was 21 at the time. Nate Boyer walks on to the Texas football team at 30 years of age. My senior year, I meet Nate. True story. Y'all gonna want to hear this one. Wow. The first day of practice, my senior year, I'm 6'1.5", 235, 6% body fat. I looked the part. I had to play the part. Here comes Nate Boyer, maybe 5'10", 185, and just didn't look the part. Yeah. We're doing a drill, and I'm going to take you back. Apologize for the PTSD. We're doing a drill where you jog around the football field. When the coach blows a whistle, you sprint. You sprint. He blows the whistle again, you jog. He blows the whistle again, you sprint. He blows the whistle again, you jog. I'm the senior, I'm the leader, I'm the guy that looks the part. But here comes this short, not that chiseled white dude that I'm like, yo, who is this dude?
What that matter, though?
Who is this dude? I'm trying to paint the picture for y'all in case y'all don't know who Nate Boyer is. He is killing me.
Yeah.
At the end of the workout, mind you, I have no idea who he is. He's just a walk-on. At the end of the workout, he's coming and he's challenging me and challenging the team like, hey, y'all just don't want it. And I'm sitting here and I was like, who is you telling me that we don't want it? Because optically, who is this 5'9", 180-pounder looking at me who's been to a national championship, who's played football his entire life, who was a top-tier recruit, 6'1", whatever I was at the time, you gonna tell me I don't want it? But relative to Nate, I didn't. So just because optically it looks bad, because you're exactly right. Harden is looking at, KD looking at Harden like, bruh, I won chips. Kyrie looking at Harden like, bruh, I got a chip. That's fine. I had been to a chip too in college. But Nate is looking at me significantly more hungry than I am, and I thought I was hungry until I came into his type of hunger. I know optically it does not look great, Sel, but I don't think that optics changed the reality, because at the end of the day, he was on to something. He wanted it more.
Oh, I don't know about that. That was a great story. Wasn't he in the military?
Yeah, Green Beret.
Yeah. What? Fool, you ain't gonna keep up with that. You know what?
I had no idea.
Dog, bruh. They don't go to training camp. They go to hell, and then they come back and survive.
I was like, who is this dude?
Yes. You did your homework.
And then they didn't lead. They didn't lead with he was in the military. They led with he was a walk-on.
Yeah. And you had 6% body fat? Heller said, yeah, you're going to be hungry with 6% body fat. Your ass wasn't eating. What the hell wrong with you? I ain't letting you off the hook like that. That was a tremendous story. Here's the thing, though, and I've noticed this, because it's weird as you ascend in life. People always want to measure your level of hunger, your level of thirst.
Yes,
what
sir.
would you go to in terms of extent?
Yes, sir.
Because when you get somewhere, your shoulders do go back, right? You start to be cool, and you don't jump at everything, you know? You're not hypersensitive every moment. I noticed that first day of training camp when you see the rookies or the guys who not going to make the team or the Nate Boyers of the world. They're not running a marathon. They're running a sprint. They're running a race. They are peacocking for the coaches to say, I want it more than him because I know he already has it. And coaches like, I'm not being fooled by that. Because are you going to be able to sustain that? Consistently sustain that. So when you get into situations, James Harden, maybe you're running a Nate Boyer race. You go to a city, you go to a team, all in, let's go. But we know success is built off of not only consistency, but persistence. You got to fight through those walls, right? Maybe he just taps out. He's like, I got to go somewhere else because they don't want it. What are you measuring? Kevin Durant doesn't want it? Say what you want about Kyrie. Kyrie Irving doesn't want it? Okay, they don't want it. Show me that you want it. Where are your receipts? I don't see them, so Nate Boyer, hit your boy up, man, so he can get you out there on that field again.
Not again.
Smoking nacho.
Not again.
Coming up, Sean McVay just won a Super Bowl, but should he actually retire? We'll answer that next on Speak For Yourself. Damn, I thought y'all were in trouble running around like, what kind of thrill is that? The whole day is the most iconic day in all of motorsports. The Daytona 500. Vroom, vroom. Great American Race kicks off the 2022 NASCAR season at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Vroom. Sean McVay became the youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl a few days ago. But when he was asked about it from reporters that he would step away next season, he said, quote, well, we'll see. Dan Patrick said he's heard there's enough interest on both sides for McVay to move on to television. But at the Rams parade today, McVay and Aaron Donald both told fans they want to, quote, run it back. The Bud Lights were talking. So, Acho, should Sean McVay retire?
Absolutely. Because what else does he have to accomplish? That's where I'm at with the Sel. And again, if Sean McVay loves coaching, then no, he shouldn't retire. It's a Sean McVay thing. But when I'm looking at it, if I were the CEO of Sean McVay Enterprises, that's the best way to say it.
Yes, let's go.
If I were removing myself emotionally and I were the CEO of Sean McVay Enterprises, I would say it is in your best interest as the company of Sean McVay to retire. Sean McVay, when you play football, when you coach football, you can win and you can lose. But when you're a commentator, you can't lose. So move into commentating, make significantly more money, estimates roughly $20 million a year if he were to go out there and be the highest paid, which he would deserve to be. Roughly $20 million a year. You can't lose. You only work 5 months out of the year. Why in the world, as the CEO of Sean McVay Enterprises, would I advise Sean McVay to keep coaching, to try to be the greatest coach of all time? At a minimum, that would take him another 10, 15, 20 years to accomplish, even if everything went right. And at a maximum, he'd waste 10, 15, 20 years trying to accomplish it just to fall short and end up with less money and more stress. Sean McVay has nothing left to prove, man. Youngest coach to ever win a Super Bowl. He has a Super Bowl. He could retire as the current greatest coach. And he could leave a legacy because he already has a coaching tree, like you said.
Yeah.
I always say, I don't care so much about my own accomplishments, but what have I encouraged other people around me to do? And Sean McVay already has encouraged other people around him to go to that next level, to go to a higher level. If you're Sean McVay, go ahead and hang that thing up and let other people do the work for you.
Man, I disagree with that, even though you make a strong argument as the CEO of Sean McVay Enterprises. But there's one person I want to talk to that has even more power than you. Sean McVay.
Yes, sir.
Here's a little rhyme I used to always say. Had to write it back down. Old school F-A-Y. What's up, boy? I think you're joking when you break up before it's broken. Now, why did I write that rhyme? Because I used to have a lot of girlfriends that would break up with me. And I was like, you playing, right? We still had something left in the tank. I used to look at these relationships. But then it came to play for real in my life when I was an NFL player. And I started to just do my sociology experiments of who's retiring and why are they retiring, right? And then finally I find myself in that same position after 10 years in the league. And most guys have made a negotiation and an agreement that their better days are behind them, therefore it's time to move on. Can Sean McVay say that? Can Sean McVay look in the mirror, forget the CEO, Acho, and look at himself and say, my better days are behind me. I'm the youngest to ever win a Super Bowl. I've been to 2 of these things in 5 years. And let's be real, my ego is saying, you give me any quarterback, I'll take him to the Super Bowl. You give me a good one, I'll win it. And he's going to leave to go somewhere else when there's still so much left to accomplish. It's not that what's attracting him isn't better in terms of compensation or maybe even lifestyle. It's the fact that he hasn't exhausted enough or all of his greatness at what he's currently doing. So if you're in that situation, Acho, ever in life, and someone just comes at you and they're trying to dump the whole Brinks truck on you, and they're like, here's all the money in the world. You know who is tempted by that? Everybody. You know who actually acts on that? Someone who thinks that this is the best opportunity for him. When you can look at Sean McVay, this isn't just the only opportunity. Therefore, this is not the best opportunity. What if Sean McVay coaches next year and wins another Super Bowl? Whatever he's waiting to do next just got better. What if Sean McVay doesn't win the Super Bowl, but he continues to coach, continues to show his greatness, and then all of a sudden says, I want to go to television? Did that opportunity go away? Hell no. Is he going to ever lose his status right now? As he was inspired and mentored by John Gruden, who ended up having this quarterback camp that built his brand so big that he went back to coaching a decade later and got the biggest contract in coaching history. Sean McVay has what we all seek, whether it's through education, whether it's through wealth, options. The dude has options, but I tell you one option he doesn't have, for real, is to look in the mirror and tell himself that his best days are behind him. That's not an option. So therefore, I think he stays still, drinks Bud Lights, and coaches next year.
He does have options. For me, it's just what's the best option, y'all? The greater question Sean McVay should ask himself is not, have I exhausted all options? But rather, am I exhausted? I think that's the greater question. Because has he exhausted all options? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like Sel said, he could win again. But the better question is, am I exhausted? I've heard a lot of things from inside the locker rooms of people who know Sean McVay very well. He does not take losing well. If you look at Sean McVay's track record, the losses cluster up. He gets so down about a loss from what I've heard from those inside the locker room that's why he loses again. Some coaches are like, man, I don't want to play an opposing coach after a loss. Typically after a loss, that team's going to bounce back and win. But Sean McVay, you actually want to play him after a loss because that's typically when he loses again. Let me give you all an example.
Give it to me.
2017, Sean McVay had 2 losses over a 4-week span twice. That happened. 2018, Sean McVay had his back-to-back losses in weeks 14 and week 15. But here's an even more interesting picture. Remember, the only year Sean McVay didn't make the playoffs was the year after he lost in the Super Bowl. Okay, let's go back from the micro. Let's get back to the micro. 2020, Sean McVay had 2 losses in 3 weeks, and then he had back-to-back losses later in the season. And then we all know this year, Sean McVay lost not 1, not 2, but 3 games in a row. So Sean McVay's track record does, in fact, align with what I've heard from those inside the locker room who know him well. He doesn't handle losing well.
Okay.
You just won. You won the biggest game of all games, the Super Bowl. Why would you go back and enter into a space where you might lose? But beyond that, Sel, if I recall from 30 minutes ago, I asked you your mission statement.
Yes.
And you said something along the lines of you want to leave your kids in a better life and society than you had.
Yeah, give my family more than I was given.
Great.
Yes.
Give my family more than he was given.
Yes.
Well, what's Sean McVay's football family? Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor was Sean McVay's quarterback coach in that 2018 Super Bowl. What has Zach Taylor been given now? A head coaching opportunity, and Zach Taylor was just in the Super Bowl. What's Sean McVay's football family? His offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
What's his offensive coordinator been given now? The chance to be a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. What's Sean McVay's football family? Brandon Staley, his defensive coordinator last year. What's Brandon Staley been given now? The opportunity to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. So if your life goal to some degree aligns with Sean McVay's life goal, he's given his football family more than they ever could have imagined. 3 head coaches, one of which just coached in the Super Bowl. I think he's done his job.
This is new. This is a new mental dynamic in this world today. And it's been going on maybe a decade, but everyone's thinking monetization, and that's actually in priority.
Okay.
So what your efforts are, you're not fully focused on them because you're trying to monetize them into something greater. And I'm not mad at that motto. I wish the motto existed when I was younger, because then I'll be more experienced in that motto. But I noticed that people are on social media, not exactly with the purest of hearts and create content, but to monetize whatever is done. You know what comes from that? You start doing things out of character. You start doing things you don't really fully desire just to monetize it, or at least be in position to monetize it. That's not true for everybody, though. There are some people who just don't want to pop off, and they're like, I'm going to be authentic. Sean McVay is a coach to the core. And if now we're going to try and make him be a part of the new model and say, yeah, that sounds great, but you can monetize it, Acho, CEO of Sean McVay Enterprises, I don't think that's his spirit.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
think that's his calling.
Yes, sir.
And more importantly, why I think that is because look at his success. More importantly, look at the success that he's breeding for others. Why stop that train right now just because, hey, take your money and run? I don't think Sean McVay is built like that. If he were built like that, I don't think he could beat Sean McVay this great, this fast.
Now genuinely interested in just a simple dialogue,
Let's
not
talk.
necessarily an argument. And this has been, I think, one of my favorite shows that I've done in the 18 months here.
You hear that, Shanks? You hear that, Shanks?
Is Sean McVay's desire to be a coach, or is Sean McVay's desire to be a teacher? Because all the coach truly is a teacher with a little enhanced motivation. Sean McVay, as the coach of the Rams, can only coach, a.k.a. teach, roughly 63, 68 men with now the enhanced practice squad roster, totality of the staff, maybe 100 individuals. But Sean McVay is an analyst, can coach, a.k.a. teach, based upon the Super Bowl we just saw 2 days ago, roughly 100 million individuals. So if Sean McVay desires to be a coach, I'm with you. But if Sean McVay desires to be a teacher, you can teach, what is that, 100 million X or 10 million X, what you're currently teaching now in Los Angeles to the nation.
That's why I'm mad that the model just hit me not so recently, because you're right. Like, at your core principles, now you can touch all corners of the globe like that. Or you can coach the Los Angeles Rams. And it just seems now we're in a place where that seems a little minimum versus what he can do in terms of maximum exposure. And you get paid more, and it's a better lifestyle. But I don't know, you can't give up on a good thing, just chasing anything. Coming up, Hall of Fame exec is concerned Joe Burrow gets hit too much. We'll tell you if the Bengals quarterback has already reached his peak. Wow, that's next on Speak for Yourself. That's a great point.
We've been in our bag this show. Joe Burrow sacked 7 times in the Bengals Super Bowl loss. He was also sacked a league-high 51 times in the regular season. Now, Hall of Fame exec Bill Polian said, quote, "He's a tough guy. I hope that he doesn't turn into Andrew Luck," close quote. adding the Bengals front office needs to fix it before he gets injured and affects his long-term career. 51 sacks and I believe 70 in totality when you count the playoffs. Will this be Joe Burrow's peak?
Every time you say Joe Burrow, I'm going to start doing David Carr. I'm like, oh, damn, what happened to David Carr? Ooh, they took the football out of him. No, this won't be Joe Burrow's peak. My philosophy in life is don't you limit me, bruh. You know, I'm on some old pursuit of happiness stuff. Like no glass ceilings, I could do it. If it's to be, it is up to me. So I'm not going to sit here and say, how dare Joe Burrow show us his best already in year 2 and nothing else in front of him will be greater. But it won't add up for Joe Burrow. I've been saying that and I will continue to say that. Like in terms of team success, I don't think that this team will even make the playoffs next year. I don't think this team is going to sniff another Super Bowl, certainly not win any Super Bowls. Let me tell you why. Joe Burrow, the injury concern for you is too high, too fast, too early in your career. He's already had ACL, PCL, now MCL with a sprain. He's had every CL, except for Mercedes. He had every CL out there. Right now, he's limping around Cincinnati. Like literally from the Super Bowl, he was injured again. So Cool Joe may become Cold Tub Joe. And that's going to be a problem. How you going to build around a guy who can't consistently be on the football field? Or when he's out there, he's still hurt. He's still hindered. But Acho, if I walked up to you and said, man, after your second show, hey, man, that was an amazing show. Man, you've been in your bag. That's going to be the best show you ever had. Oh, after your second year in this game. Oh, Acho, amazing, man. Another Emmy. That's the best it's ever going to be. You will look at me and be like, fool, if you don't get out my way with your limits. And I'm not going to be that fool to Joe Burrow. He certainly will be better. I don't know if the Bengals will be better.
I'm saying the exact same thing. Literally my notes. Will this be Joe Burrow's peak? Individually, absolutely not. Collectively, more than likely. Individually, I'm sure Joe Burrow will make it Pro Bowl. I'm sure Joe Burrow will likely be an All-Pro, but that will be a lot tougher. Individually, Joe Burrow going to be way better than he was this year. Might be a passing leader in yards, touchdowns, etc. But collectively, we got to remember, y'all, the Bengals were 2 games away from missing the playoff.
That part.
Bengals had to win. Not needed, not desired to, not wanted to. The Bengals had to win
that part.
2 of their final 3 games of the season. They had to beat the Ravens in order to get in, and they had to beat the Chiefs in order to get in. So I'm not convinced that the Bengals are going to just consistently be in the NFL playoffs, let alone Super Bowls. Collective team success, this might be Burrow's peak. Let me give y'all one that'll make you think. I think Joe Burrow with the Bengals will collectively look a lot like Eli Manning with the Giants.
Oh, okay, you went there.
Consistently winning 8 to 12 games a year, relatively. Sometimes you'll go 9, sometimes 7, sometimes you'll go 12. But Eli Manning during the course with the Giants, consistently winning 8 to 12 games. Eli Manning's record is literally 500. I think he was like 127 and 127. So literally speaking, Eli Manning hovered right around 500. Joe Burrow thus far, hovering right around 500. But let me take you one further. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. Outside of those 2 playoff runs where Eli Manning won those 2 Super Bowls, he did not win another playoff game.
Say it again.
So I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals and his tenure there will very much so reflect Eli Manning's tenure with the Giants. If you do make the playoffs, you'll be a wild card or you'll be a 4 seed. If you get to the playoffs as that wild card or 4 seed, you'll make a run. This year to me was that run. The other times you'll just be one and done. So I am a little worried that collectively this will be Joe Burrow's peak.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad peak. You went to a Super Bowl. That's a greater peak than 99.9% of NFL players. But that's why it hurt my heart so much that he didn't win it, because I'm not sure how consistently I see them getting back.
I'm with you. You went Eli. I'm going to go Dan Marino.
Okay.
That's flattering. Never went back to a Super Bowl, Dan Marino, after his second year. That's flattering. Or Spider-Man meme, Joe Burrow. You just saw who you are. You're Matthew Stafford in Detroit. You are Matthew Stafford. Going to put up all these numbers, all that. Where's the team success? No. Jamar Chase, beast. Welcome, Megatron. Calvin Johnson, beast. Where the team wins? I don't know. It's crazy. You said that Matthew Stafford's been to how many Pro Bowls?
1, sir.
1. So I should say Pro Bowl. Take that S off, right? Is Joe Burrow going to make the Pro Bowl? In the AFC. This is just the AFC, y'all. This is just the AFC. Patrick Mahomes. He just shows up, he going to make the Pro Bowl, right? Josh Allen. Justin Herbert, who was the MVP of the Pro Bowl, right? Lamar Jackson is like, yoo-hoo, can I get in the Pro Bowl? Deshaun Jackson like, I'm going to play again. Deshaun Watson, excuse me, I'm going to play again. Can I get in the Pro Bowl? Trevor Lawrence like, oh, y'all sleeping on me down here. I got skills. We saw Mac Jones already in the Pro Bowl. I think Joe Burrow's better than him, but so what? He was in the Pro Bowl. Derek Carr like, y'all blind resume me. I'm one of the best out there. Yay! If you don't have team success in that popularity contest called the Pro Bowls, it's going to be really interesting. So I am not trying to hex my man. I'm not wishing ill on you, but bro, hope you enjoyed L.A. Hope you enjoyed that Super Bowl. Coming up is Matthew Stafford, a Hall of Famer. Oof. Not according to Richard Sherman. We'll tell you if his comments were out of line. Next on Speak for Yourself. Ben Simmons has a new home in Brooklyn after a messy divorce in Philly. His new squad is in 8th spot in the East, but Simmons is very optimistic, saying at his intro press conference yesterday that playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is, quote, going to be scary. Got to bring in Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher, but Acho, are the new look Nets scary? Show my face.
Nah, they're not scary. And Slick, Sell, the new look Nets aren't scary because I am not sure how often we are going to look at the new look Nets. If Ben Simmons thought he had it bad with Joel Embiid, he thought Embiid was a mean big brother, wait till he partners up with Kevin Durant. Y'all got to remember, James Harden is Mr. Get Along. Who does James Harden not get along with over the course of his 13 or so year career? Nobody. Up until Kevin Durant. Who did Draymond Green on the same team? Slick, run out of there. Nah, Slick, you give me these looks.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But James Harden ain't run nobody off his squad when he was in Houston. People may have come and people may have gone, but James Harden did not run anybody in the manner that Kevin Durant and Harden ran off the squad. Y'all go back and y'all fact check all the truths of the matter.
I shall.
As much issues as Embiid and Simmons had, I'm just looking like we really expect Embiid and KD to not have an issue? Is that what we're hoping for? Is that what Ben Simmons is hoping for, that KD is going to be nicer to him than Embiid was to him? Yeah. Furthermore, if we just want to talk X's and O's and talk hoops, I genuinely am curious as to who's going to be the primary ball handler. Clearly it's going to be Kyrie. So then, Ben Simmons, what's your role going to be on offense when y'all got the ball? Like, you just going to be out there getting rebounds? Like, you're not going to be the primary ball handler, nor are you going to be the primary distributor. So I don't know how it works from a basketball perspective, and I definitely do not know how it works from a team chemistry perspective. Once again, if Kevin Durant, for whatever reasons, has had issues with Russell Westbrook, Draymond Green, James Harden, 3 future Hall of Famers, Ben Simmons, it ain't going to get no easier for you from a chemistry perspective, and it's definitely not going to get any easier for you from a basketball perspective.
We're actually coming at this from 2 different directions. The answers are different, but in a way we're the same. I would say yes, they are scary. In the same way it's scary listening to you two talk about my Bengals, comparing freaking Joe Burrow to Dan Marino and Mac Jones and Derek Carr and Eli Manning. But I digress. Yes, they are scary. They are scary, and I'm going to leave the James Harden mess to you, Marcellus, to clear that up.
Yes.
But I got some questions there as well. Yes, they are scary. They're scary in the same way that Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant were scary. In fact, I think I've heard this song before. Wait, who was it that said this very same thing when he joined the Brooklyn Nets? Oh, yeah, that's right. It wasn't Ben Simmons. It was actually James Harden. Ben Simmons is actually stealing James Harden's material when it comes to 3 stars getting together and playing in Brooklyn. This is the same song that I heard with the Lakers and getting Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James together. And why is it? Why do I say yes, it's scary? Why do I say yes, they're scary? It's because everything in our imagination is scarier than in reality. And that's what we're using here. We're thinking of Ben Simmons at his best. We're thinking of Kevin Durant at his best. We're thinking of Kyrie Irving at his best. But there are so many ifs here. It's if Kevin Durant comes back, and when he comes back, will he be the same after the sprain? If Kyrie Irving can get on the floor and the mandate is lifted. If Ben Simmons can get back into shape and is mentally ready to go. Patty Mills, that his Australian teammate now, his ability to have an influence on Ben Simmons. All these things have to happen. So in the same way in our imagination that we thought the big three in Brooklyn was going to be truly scary, yes, same with this. But it's all in our imagination. The reality is it's going to be very difficult for all three of them to get on the floor. And if they do, they're only going to get at most a dozen games to ramp up before the playoffs. And is that going to be enough when you have some of the other teams in the East and what they look like? So, yes, they're scary, but they're only scary in our minds, not in reality.
Let me say this. I got to do some fact checking, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is going to be really scary. This is going to be crazy because if you look at what Ben Simmons brings to the table, it's exactly what these Nets need, especially on the defensive end. And we already know that he's top 5 in terms of defensive rating from last year. Okay, then he's one of the top guys in terms of assists and steals. And he has 32 career triple-doubles, 13th all-time. Okay, so Ben Simmons, Swiss Army knife. Acho's going to chime in and say it's a dull knife, but I get it. Anybody ever pull a knife on you? Acho, dull or sharp? Yeah, you kind of step back. And that's what Ben Simmons is going to make opposing teams do. He's going to make them step back. And then if he decides to take you in transition, you got a problem. You got a 6'10" point guard coming at you. And he plays with exceptional pace. Oh, he decides that, hey, I got some shooting issues, at least as advertised. So I'm going to pass it to two dynamic playmakers and shooters in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Respect, respect. All right, fact check time. Best field goal percentage, 2017 and 18 all the way to 2021. Minimum 3,000 field goal attempts. In 5th place, we got Andre Drummond. 4th place, Jokic. 3rd place, Sabonis. 2nd place, Giannis. Who's number 1? Ben Simmons. Now, that's not shooting. That's just his field goal percentage. The dude can put the ball in the basket, especially if mentally he's engaged and mentally he's focused. Now, my last point is this. There are no real strong contenders in the East. No one that's going to make you sit there and say, whoa. I mean, you're talking about the Miami Heat? Okay, well, good luck with that. 1 finals appearance in the last decade, basically, 16th in points per game. Bulls, they're trying to make the playoffs for the first time in the last 5 years. Bucks, they just won, but right now, not looking like the same team as last year, but we'll see. And the 76ers, all right, we'll figure that one out. You know how Doc Rivers, when he gets up 3-1 in games and series, how that plays out. Anyway, here's my fact check. Acho, need to be on the screen.
Talk to me.
Woo! What'd you say about James Harden?
James Harden didn't run anybody off.
Okay, it's interesting. Here are what the articles say. There was a lack of interest from James Harden when he was playing off ball to the point where he wouldn't even step across half court when CP3 had the ball. They went 2 months without speaking, and then CP3, bye-bye. Westbrook, who said, quote, nothing ever starts on time, and he said that the Houston Rockets were an organized AAU team. Now, I don't know what you call running someone off, but James Harden, who wants to go out there and say, I want to just be around guys who want to win, needs to look in the mirror. And according to some of his superstar teammates of the past, sounds like James Harden's the guy who doesn't really want to win.
I think my issue here is this, Sel. The Nets, once again, to Slick's point, they're kind of the all-name team. You got Kyrie Irving, big name. Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant. Ben Simmons, top 5 in triple-double since he entered into the league.
Jeez.
But how do those names translate to games collectively? That is the issue. Like, we did this whole song, we wore this T-shirt, we saw this movie and this show before. If the Nets could not win with James Harden, who's a significantly better offensive player, and the Nets could not win with Kyrie and KD, are we about to be scared again, even though this Nets team is less lethal at their peak than the old Nets team? That's where I just can't get down with it. I already bought the dream, and I didn't really buy the dream. I just saw other people buy the dream. I'm not buying into this one. I'm selling it all the way around.
Get him, Slick.
I'm in the uncomfortable position of having to be on Acho's side on this thing after that Harden mess. Because, Marcellus, you didn't even bring up Dwight Howard. I mean, there's a number of names that we could talk about that Harden hasn't run. You know what? Here's the thing. Harden doesn't run him off like he's going to pull the rifle. He does the passive-aggressive. I'm going to make it so bad for you, so uncomfortable for you here that you're going to run off yourself. So technically, Acho, you are correct. He didn't run them off. He just convinced them running off was a really good idea if you're going to have to play with James Harden.
Yeah.
All that said, Marcellus, oh my goodness, way to cherry pick those statistics.
As always.
You're still talking about a Ben Simmons shooting a high percentage. And why is that? Because he will not shoot outside of 2 or 3 feet from the basket. That doesn't make you an efficient shooter. And it doesn't make you effective as a point guard in the league today. So there is that. If we're going to talk about, again, I'm going to imagination versus reality. I don't know if you guys have ever, I do this exercise because there are times where I have fears in my life. I get paralyzed by thoughts of what could happen. And what I have to do is I have to take pen and paper out and I have to write down what those fears are so I can look at them and decide whether they're rational or irrational. Now, here, let me have the full screen. Here's a rational fear. There's a rational fear of playing those Milwaukee Bucks, who you somehow just said, they're the defending champions and aren't quite playing the same way that they did a year ago. They're a game and a half out of first place in the Eastern Conference. And more importantly, their best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is playing better than he ever has. Right. What he's doing right now, shooting better, damn near 50% from three-point range in February, 70% plus from free throws, leading the league in scoring, and his assists per 100 possessions is at an all-time high. He's playing his absolute best basketball. So yes, they're sort of rounding into shape, but this is what defending champions do. They understand what it takes to win another championship. So they just kind of make sure that they're ready to go at the end of the year. They're not trying to prove anything during the regular season.
I get that.
The Miami Heat and what they've done, the Milwaukee Bucks, what they're doing, that is reality. Those are the things that I can write down. Marcellus, the things that you say that the Brooklyn Nets could do, there's no place for me to put that on the paper because they haven't done anything and we haven't seen them do anything. Much like we never got to see KD, Kyrie, and James Harden do something.
Yeah, I get it. Look, the games aren't won on paper, even though they're won on the hardwood, which both come from trees. So let's just agree on this one, that these Brooklyn Nets, well, I'm a wordsmith. These Brooklyn Nets out here about to do something special, Slick. Let me tell you why. Because you guys are going to be late to this party. Acho is fatigued of the Brooklyn Nets to the point where he's like, y'all crying wolf. Here we go again, saying that y'all gonna be special because you got this special player. I'm tired of that narrative. I'm tired of the same actions, and then you're trying to tell me they're gonna get different results.
I wish we had a clip. I wish we had a clip of you, because I swear, Acho, I've heard the same thing. Did he not tell us we were going to be late to the Brooklyn Nets party when James Harden got there?
Yep. Well,
then this is almost the exact same verbiage as that.
Same thing. He used the same notes.
Were we late to that party?
No,
I don't know.
It got canceled.
Okay, I wasn't around you guys in the big toe moment, but I know that your heart stopped. I know that well that when they were up 2-0 on Milwaukee, and they beat them by 49 one time, and the big toe game.
You have talked more about KD's big toe than his podiatrist. I swear to God.
I'm not talking to y'all anymore. I had a good take somewhere. Speaking of the NBA fans, don't miss your chance to win $25,000 tonight on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Fox Bet Super 6 has given away over $6 million in cash prizes, and there are winners every week. Scan the QR code, download the app, and pick the outcomes of 6 NBA games for your chance to win. It's free to play. Manny and Petty, coming up, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? Not according to Richard Sherman. Tell you if his comments were out of line. That's next on Speak for Your Sherm. Leave me alone, Slick. Matthew Stafford is now a Super Bowl champion. And that career mark was followed by a lot of talk about his Hall of Fame chances. Richard Sherman, my dog, did not hold back on his opinion, tweeting in part, quote, "The Hall of Fame bar is incredibly low now." adding Stafford was never considered the best quarterback in any year he played. Quote, former Super Bowl MVP Julian Edelman thinks otherwise, saying, quote, 50,000 passing yards, Super Bowl first year with a capable team. Give this man his flowers. He's a Hall of Famer. Arm talent is some of the best we've seen. So, Acho, are Richard Sherman's Hall of Fame comments out of line?
Not at all. Richard Sherman's comments are perfectly in line, and we all are Richard Sherman, so let's stop lying to ourselves. I know who Richard Sherman is. Richard Sherman is Dave Chappelle. If y'all kept up with the latest news, Dave Chappelle recently came under fire because in Yellow Springs, the area in which he lives in Ohio, they were trying to build an affordable housing project next to him. They were trying to build a project that was constituted of some affordable housing. Dave Chappelle came up and said, hold on now. Y'all not going to build this project by me because I do not want it to impact or affect not only my property value, but I don't want it to impact or affect the quality of area that I live in. So Chappelle was like, if y'all do this, I'm going to some degree financially revolt.
Oh.
Richard Sherman is simply doing the same thing. The property value of the Hall of Fame is incredibly high. Pro Bowls, all pros, top tier players, players of the decade. But then you look at Matthew Stafford and he ain't got none of that. And Sherman does not want Matthew Stafford to bring down his property value. Sherman don't want no affordable housing Matthew Stafford in his neighborhood. Because who is the neighborhood of Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers on the Rams? Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, 7 All-Pros, 7 All-Pros, 3 All-Pros, 8 Pro Bowls, 8 Pro Bowls, 5 Pro Bowls. Okay, who are the future Hall of Famers at the quarterback position that Matthew Stafford is in? Y'all look at the names: Brady, Breeze, Manning, Rodgers, Roethlisberger. 6 All-Pros, 5 All-Pros, you see 10 All-Pros, you see 13 Pro Bowls, you see 15, you see 19. You see the category of All-Pros and Pro Bowls along the likes of quarterbacks. Now let's just look at the league in its totality. When you're talking about guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Bobby Wagner, and the author Richard Sherman. 5 All-Pros, 5 All-Pros, 5 All-Pros, 5 All-Pros, 7 Pro Bowls, 8 Pro Bowls, 7 Pro Bowls. Y'all get it. Then you see Matthew Stafford, and he trying to get in. He trying to move in his little affordable housing, no All-Pros, 1 Pro Bowl. And Richard Sherman is looking like, hey, I don't mind you, Matthew Stafford. I just don't want you in my neighborhood. That's how Richard Sherman is looking at the situation. So I think Richard Sherman is perfectly in line because that's Richard Sherman's area and he's allowed to speak on his jurisdiction. Personally, you know what I'm saying? I would feel the same way. As far as
You're losing something.
well, it's a little different conversation when we're talking about housing, right? My old house, we had affordable housing, and my best friends were in affordable housing, so I like the neighborhoods with all that. But I feel Chappelle, and I feel Sherman. I'm not mad at either one.
Oh, man, I'm mad at you because you sound like Sherman on this one. And y'all my dogs. You know I love you. Don't mean I got to agree with everything about you and vice versa. Y'all out of line, bruh. Y'all some haters. That's why you started losing some steam. You was like, damn, I do sound like a hater. Because guess what? Richard Sherman doesn't own the Hall of Fame. He ain't got the deed to the Hall of Fame. He got a room in there, too. Shut up and sit in your room. You're blessed. You're welcome. You're great. Matthew Stafford shows up at the door. And then here goes Sherman. Who that at the door? Matthew Stafford. Man, what you doing here? He's like, you see my yards? That ain't gonna get you in. You see my touchdowns? What? I just won the Super Bowl. Oh. And then somebody else is like, hey, Sherman, calm down. Why you being a gatekeeper? Why you being a hater? You don't own this house. You got a room like me. And you got to understand, there are some people hiding in their rooms right now because they're like, damn, Matthew Stafford got me beat. There are people in the Hall of Fame that never won a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford got one. I thought that was a quarterback stat. Wins and losses and Super Bowl championships. There are people in there with much fewer yards than him, much fewer touchdowns than him. And now y'all gonna be sitting there at the door hating on who comes in and who comes out. This kind of reminds me more of a buffet. And I don't eat at buffets. I'm bougie. I don't know what you've been doing before you touch them ribs, so I'm not going there after you with them ribs. But I do know the etiquette of such things when you don't own it and everyone is just passing it around. You don't want something. If it's not for you, Acho, don't hate. Pass it on. Matthew Stafford ain't for you in likability. Don't hate. Don't be on the inside hating and saying he can't come on in the inside as well. Move on, Richard Sherman. Talk about something else. Because now the spirit of what you're talking about is going to be the message more so than your resume. His resume qualifies. I hate to say it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
If you got 50K in a ring, you're in the Hall of Fame. You know why? Brady does. Breeze does. Manning does. Favre does. Roethlisberger does. Eli does. Aaron Rodgers does. Elway does. We're going to get into the whole inflation and different eras, blah, blah, blah. But he played with half these guys, if not more. They got 50K plus, and they got a ring. Why can't he get in if they in there? Hey, let me in. It's Matthew.
I like it, and I like the whole correlation aspect of it. I don't know if it's the causation of 50K in a ring that got him in, or a correlation of, hey, they all got 50K, got a ring, they in. So I can't speak to it being 50K in a ring that puts you in. But, Sel, we have to be honest with the viewers. You got to be honest with yourself. I'm honest.
I'm telling the truth. Y'all haters.
Because, and again, I've used this before. I think it was a month ago, I got asked to speak at an event.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, big dog, how much can y'all afford? You know what I'm saying? I'm not cheap. How much can they afford? Oh, Emmanuel, we don't have any budget for this event. Okay, my next question. Who all's going to be there?
Yeah.
Like, who all's going to be there? Is Obama and them going to be there? Beyonce?
First of all, is there a them with Obama?
Yeah, like Obama and them, like Michelle and Barack. Because, are they going to be there? Beyonce going to be there? Like, who am I going to be in the
Make up
with?
no money with somebody in there that can help
That's
me
it.
Yeah.
If they not going to pay me, who's going to be in the room?
Yeah.
Because who's going to be in the room dictates whether or not I want to be in the room. Everybody's done it. Bruh, Christmas parties, y'all stop lying. Hey, yeah, who gonna be there? Who gonna be Thanksgiving, who gonna be there? Easter Sunday after church, hey, who gonna be there? We all ask the same question. Who is going to be there? Because at every point in life, who is in the room dictates whether or not we want to be in the room. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Cinco de Mayo, Independence Day, every gathering, we all ask the same question. Who gonna be there?
Yeah.
We have all been Richard Sherman. And Richard Sherman is like, who gonna be there? If Stafford's gonna be there, I guess. But he don't need to be there. Like, he hasn't paid his dues. We're all Richard Sherman, and we can't act any other.
Nah. Y'all just mad.
You haven't sent that text?
Nope. I'm always first to the party. That's why people love me. They're like, you're so down to earth. No, I'm not wasting my money. I ain't coming to the club late. I'm spending how much money? I'm going to be there first. Y'all want us to be like y'all because y'all just saw yourselves in the mirror and y'all look like haters. Haters. And look, oh my God, I am Matthew Stafford's wife right now. I'm going to send this to Richard Sherman. Hey, hater. I'm going to send this to him. You know why? What did the locker room tell us? Don't get in my pockets, right?
Yes, sir.
What did it also say? Should have said it at least. Don't touch my legacy, dog. But let them determine my legacy. You one of me. We're in the same fraternity.
We're not. That's what Richard Sherman said.
Oh, no.
Don't do that.
No, I'm going to do this.
That.
You listen to this line.
Don't do that.
This is why I know Richard Sherman knows he's qualified. Because if he wasn't qualified, Richard Sherman wouldn't have said anything. If they would have said, you telling yourself what you give attention to is what you know is disturbing you. Why y'all bringing this up?
Some more time on the clock. We going here. Sel, I was going to the Sports Illustrated party this weekend, right? And I knew who was putting on the function. So
who was hosting it?
I don't remember. I just know his name. I don't know what dude. You know what I'm saying? I know my dog. He looked out for the kid. Okay. So I go to the Sports Illustrated party. It's right there at 2000 Avenue of the Stars. I pull up. Crowded out front. I mean, crowded out front. I see Fred Warner. He go into the joint. Russell and Sierra, they're in there, etc. I wait for my guy to come get me.
Yeah. Help me up.
My guy comes, grabs me out the crowd. He ushers me into the building. As he's ushering me into the building, excuse me. I'm trying to get in. It's different people like, they're like, man, that's just Sacho. Me and him the same dude. Like, why ain't you going to let me in? I'm looking like, please. Let me not. You
about to go off, nigga.
Let me come.
We got to come back on air. You about to go all the way there.
I'm looking at him like, respectfully, we're not the same.
Oh God.
So as I'm getting into the joint, don't sit here and try to wait. If you let Nacho in, let me in. Respectfully.
Yeah.
We're not the same. Richard Sherman is looking at Matthew Stafford like, with all due respect, we're not the same.
Yeah.
And you've been there too. Dude holding on to your arm while you getting ushered into the club. And I know you've done this. I got to undo my jacket because I know Sel has done this. I want to rip my jacket. Dude grabs Sel's arm and he does this. I know you've done. We've all done. that get off me because you are non-verbally communicating respectfully.
I love you.
We are not the same.
That mirror only has 3 people in it. You, Sherman, and a hater. It's really 2 of y'all. All I know is, what if Denzel was hosting the Sports Illustrated party?
Okay.
And he would sit there and say, oh, Acho's in this party? Oh, I would respectfully.
That's been done.
Okay.
I'm sure that's
So will you
been done.
imagine if Denzel pulled that on you?
Then I got to get better. I'm still working.
Get in the party and shut
I
up.
got to
and
get an
have a
Oscar.
drink. Coming up, what is going on in Arizona? Like, what's going on with Richard Sherman and Acho? I don't know what the hell. We'll tell you who has the power between the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Next, don't speak for yourself. Respectfully. So Dan Fauci wore a moon because just be chilling. Let's get to the drama in Arizona. The report says that the Cardinals describe Kyler Murray as, quote, self-centered, immature, and someone who points fingers. Bleacher Report wrote the Cardinals need to mend their relationship with Murray ASAP, ASAP. And, quote, Murray holds all the leverage in this situation. Acho, who has more power? Cardinals, Kyler.
Cardinals, very, very, very simple. Cardinals are looking at Kyler Murray with a little bit of a glaring eye, if you will. They're looking at Kyler Murray like, wait a second. You're a losing quarterback over 3 years. Even Baker Mayfield had a winning record after 3 years. Looking at Kyler Murray like, wait a second. You don't have a playoff win over 3 years. Baker Mayfield had a playoff win 3 years and sooner. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, all had playoff wins within their first 3 years. Justin Herbert does not have one yet, but remember, Justin Herbert's only played 2. By his 3rd year, I highly anticipate he will have a playoff win. So as much hype as Kyler Murray has, the Cardinals are looking at Kyler in the same manner that we have all looked at some of our friends who are popping. Be mindful, big dog. Don't let the world puff you up. Because you're going to come down sooner or later. That is how I'm looking at Kyler. We all pumping Kyler up, but the Cardinals are looking like, hey, what they say, Sal, you ought to help me with this one.
Where's that?
Like, don't let your friend get your butt whooped. Like, don't let when your friend hype you up and you start talking crazy, start thinking crazy, don't let your friend get your butt whooped. That's where Kyler is right now with these Cardinals.
Man, y'all better stop. He has all the leverage. That's why they're writing reports about him having all the leverage. He's a franchise quarterback with numbers to support it. I'll get into the numbers. But more so than that, he's electrifying. Think about it. You're in Arizona, man. Either you're retired or you're loving the lovely lifestyle of Arizona. So hot out there, all you want is just to go to the game and see something cool. And it's cool to watch Kyler Murray go out there and lead your team to an undefeated record before injury. It's cool to watch a number 1 overall quarterback improve every single year. It's cool to watch him after 46 career starts. You keep saying that he's not that good, huh? More passing yards than Carson Palmer and Derek Carr in those same amount of games. Better completion percentage than Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers in the same amount of games. More touchdowns than Matt Ryan, an MVP, and Drew Brees in the same amount of games. I don't know what y'all talking about. The dude gets better every single year. He is the mighty mouse of their situation. He's the one that you go to the game and say, not only do we have a chance to win, but boys, they're going to be fun watching us win. Coming up, Sean McVay just won the Super Bowl. Is he the best coach in the NFL? We'll answer that next. Don't speak! 37.
Sean McVay's been to 2 Super Bowls now and just won his first ring. Now, McVay orchestrated a playoff run, fitting together several new pieces, and at the age of 36 years old, he is now the youngest coach in NFL history to win a championship. So, Sal, is Sean McVay the best coach in the National Football League?
No, he's not the best coach in the National Football League. Yesterday, we had an argument. We were on differing sides. And the only thing that we agreed upon is when we're talking about excellence, we talk about longevity.
Fair.
Oh, look at you. Fair. Look at those notes again. It's like, damn it, longevity ain't going to play into that argument, is it? Okay, you told me that matters. Now, I hope it matters in this conversation. Because until they kill Bill, it's still Bill Belichick. Darn it. You know how many rings he has? Like, literally, Bill Belichick could go home for a whole week and lose a ring and still like, where the ring? And then here goes Sean McVay. I got one. He's like, no, I don't need that. Where the rest of my rings at? I'm sorry. I'm just old school like that, dog. One album, and then one went platinum, one went gold. Belichick went diamond, dog. Y'all better stop playing with Bill. It's still Bill until they kill Bill.
I like that take, big dog.
Come on.
You finna go freestyle after the show, too.
You already know, ruthless.
Too many bars. No, Sean McVay is the best coach in the league. No to your statement. He currently is the best coach. There's a difference between best and greatest.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
Is Bill Belichick the greatest coach? Absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Longevity comes into play when we're having a greatest of all time conversation, a la LeBron James. Longevity has to come into play when you're talking about the greatest running backs of all time. Emmitt Smith, he has to be in that conversation because longevity comes into play. Greatest quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady, because longevity comes into play. But when you are simply talking about best, now that changes. Now I want to talk about your peaks, and now I want to talk about your present. And if I look at the peak of Sean McVay, Super Bowl champ. If I want to talk about the present, the last half decade, 3 coaches have been in 2 Super Bowls. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Sean McVay. 3 coaches have been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Now, all of them have won 1 Super Bowl. So now the very simple deciding factor, as we have to split these hairs, who won it most recently? Because that tells me who's the best currently. So if all 3 of those coaches have been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years and they've each won 1 Super Bowl in the last 5 years, it's a very simple deciding factor. When you go to the decision and the judge has to raise up one hand, Sean McVay's hand is getting raised because he won the last round, and Sean McVay's currently.
Really? How many times did he win Coach of the Year? Same amount as Jason Garrett. How many playoff wins? 7. Tomlin got 8. McCarthy got more. He's been coaching a long time. Harbaugh. A lot of names in front of you. I keep going. Carroll, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. That name again. Bill Belichick just keep coming up. Huh? I don't know how. Regular season wins 55. Come on, bruh. Ron Rivera got 90.
Are you done or are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done. I am finished. Coming up, Mike McCarthy had no doubt he would return as Cowboys head coach. We'll tell you if he kept it 100 with his comments or just 99. Next on Speak for Yourself. So if I couldn't have Bill, I'd take Sean. On this show, we only know how to keep it 100, but others, y'all keep it 99. So each day, we're going to get to the bottom of who's really telling the truth. Case in point, Mike McCarthy's job status was in question after the Cowboys playoff loss, but the head coach was not worried. Take a listen.
I never once felt that I was not going to be the head coach moving forward, and frankly, I've been at this long enough. That's all I'm focused on. I'm the leader of this football team, and I'm about winning, and that's all I've ever focused on, and that's all I ever will focus on.
Acho, McCarthy keeping it 100. 99.
I'm going 99, big dog. He said I was never once worried. I refuse to believe that. Mike McCarthy knows Jerry Jones does what Jerry Jones wants to do, and at any point in time, Mike McCarthy can lose his job. Think about how Mike McCarthy got his job off of a lie, lying to Jerry Jones about watching every play of the Cowboys' previous 2 seasons. So if you can get your job off a lie, you can lose your job off a lie as well. I think he was worried.
I'm with you, big dog. I was looking up one of the Wileyisms. People who speak in absolutes are absolute liars.
How you got to look up a Wileyism?
Man, I got too many.
No, sir. You should know your own quote.
Really? So you go to Lil Wayne and his first demo song, he gonna know it by heart, right?
Yeah.
He probably would. Yeah. Weezy's special. I ain't that special right now. That's it for us. NASCAR Race Hub is next. Let me get in the booth and talk that.